free. That's fine. Um, so it's math time. Welcome everybody. This is Rev Games. What it do, how it be, what it bees it, how it does it, and what it does it, how it bees it, if you know what I'm saying. We are playing Rescue Cat Burn today. And I, in the usual fashion, am just going to do a deck profile, talk about some card choices, and then um, we'll get into some live gameplay. I will preface by saying live gameplay is kind of hard with this deck because the deck itself is kind of difficult. And some of the games, like especially with combo decks, like some of the games just you kind of just like I don't know. There's like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of like in between with this deck. Sometimes like you either just like have like really good like back and forth like calculations and figure out your game plan win, or the other side of the coin is you just get duoed or your like opponent just has the nuts. And that goes for like really any live gameplay. Sometimes there are just going to be games that really aren't worth even watching. So I sometimes just like have to like re-record and like find an actual game for you guys. But more so, I think with this deck than a lot of other decks. It's kind of like Reasoning Gate. There are kind of just some like there's really not like a whole lot of action going on. There's not a lot of back and forth depending on how you drop. But as a reminder, it's always helpful if you do sub or support the channel in any way. Again, it's not a monetary thing for me, really. Well, at all. I don't like make any money off YouTube or anything. I just kind of want, um, Goat and Edison to have some legs and to provide content to draw people in and keep people playing. So always helpful if you support the channel. So this is the deck, and it's one of the last, I guess, like tier 2 and above decks that I have never really played. I've been kind of really just trying to improve at Goat, and I think the best way to do that is to play as many decks as possible, just because like playing Goat Control, like if you're playing any other deck, allows you to play more effectively against Goat Control once you kind of figure out how the deck works. And it just I just feel like that's a really good way to get better at the game. So I'm trying to like really in Goat and Edison over a long period of time, just kind of make my rounds in the upper echelon of tiers, 1 and 2 mostly. Maybe dipping down into a little bit of like tier 3 stuff, and then of course like the actual fun decks, which are more designed to have fun as opposed to like win. But this is what we're playing. Um, on another note, I've tried another cat variant that was the um, cat Earth aggro hybrid as opposed to the cat burn hybrid that we're playing right now, and I have been pretty darn unimpressed with the cat Earth aggro variant, and I kind of want to spend like a minute or two talking about why. Um, and these are points that I more or less kind of got on back read from some of like the Rescue Cat channel on the Discord. Like we made a few good points, but um, the first one, which is more my personal experience, is I feel like it's very difficult to run enough starters, and I'll actually show you my list to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. This is what I'm working with. It's kind of difficult to run enough starters, and I just edited this recently to add more starters to it. Most are even running less than this, but your turn 1 is so important because you're not really going to be able to get in enough damage if you aren't normal summoning something turn 1 like automatically. So yeah, you have the Rhoda tutors, you have the 2 rats, you have and then like 3 warriors more or less. And I guess like what Deswombat can kind of count as a starter, but it's really hard to get aggressive enough with this deck early on and get enough chip damage in to like get them below like in maybe that like $4,000 to $5,000 range where you can pull off some sort of cat OTK. So I haven't been impressed with this list at all. Maybe I've just been getting unlucky, but um, the other difficult thing is you're not running any stallers like level limit or gravity bind. So, you know, this is a combo deck, so you want to, assemble Cat, Will, and Trunade more or less. Maybe some supplementary stuff like a Mind Con or a United We Stand. But um, you just don't have enough ways to stall to get there a lot of times. And you can be as aggressive as you want, but like you just summon like one warrior and then like you're probably not going to draw another. Like you might have a Gigantes, but that's going to be a brick in your hand. Like the rat might recruit, but I just don't feel like you're able to keep your opponent on their heels enough with this deck. The other point is that um, the cat engine takes up so much space in your monster lineup that it's very hard to run enough starters and like aggressive good monsters um, to like get you where you need to be. Like the whole cat engine is Yaku gear, um, all of this, so that's what, 9 cards so far, and then Stein, and then like kind of Lily, but that's a standalone card as well. Um, so you're basically running 10 cards that are like more or less bricks um, in your monster lineup. So it's very difficult to run something that's monster centric, like a regular. I'll show you my regular Earth aggro list, and like really extending enough. Like the thing about Earth aggro is like every turn you're just summoning a monster, and then you're like layering in a special summon or two throughout the game with Gigantes, Premature, and Call. And that's really gonna be enough to get you where you need to be. This is a very good deck. But look how many starters you have. You have like literally all of this except like Exiled and Gigantes, and then like all of the goblins too, and Injection Fairy Lily, and like maybe a tribe, I guess, depending on the game state. Um, so like you turn one can summon, and then unless you draw a really bad hand, turn two you're gonna summon, and then turn three you're gonna summon, and like you kind of have to have a Congo line of a normal summon every turn, more or less, and some special summons weaved in there, without of course committing like way too much into torrential or mirror force. But like the thing is, if you are able to stick one or two monsters, like you don't even need to commit like into torrential or mirror force. So that's like really the beauty of this deck. Plus you're able to run a suite of really good traps to clear the way, and knocks and smashing grounds, and you get hand knowledge, and like this deals with any random spell and trap removal if you just use it in the end phase. So it just feels like a more like cohesive actual deck. You have to forego so much of that with um, the cat OTK Earth aggro. Like look how much space this takes up. Like that's just it's really really tough. So the other thing that I think it was Pui mentioned this, which is that um, you can't really side into a. I don't know like if you could. There just seems like you can't really side into like a pure burn variant very easily with this. Um, so you more or less get boinked by the same exact cards. Um, because any cards that are coming in versus cat are probably coming in versus your Earth aggro side of your deck too. So what the nice thing about the cat OTK paired with burn is that these kind of need different side deck cards to be dealt with effectively. Because you can do a bunch of damage with attacks, and you know that warrants stuff like maybe a Roar or Sakuretsu's coming in. Um, but like the burn side of your deck needs stuff like Walk for your opponent to bring in, or spell and trap removal, or like decrees. And if you like see a decree, then like you have the flexibility to start getting really, really aggressive with cats and wills, or even like a Stein, and just starting like beating them in like they're facing with something really big. Um, like even like I brought out like King Dragoon, like against certain opponents, and can be good, or they can have the answer like tribe or something. But um, and then it also gives you the flexibility to like, I won't call it a smoke screen, but like it kind of is a smoke screen where you just like sub out the cat stuff and then you just go straight burn. Um, and that's really good. Like you would sub out like the cats, of course, right? I mean, you could realistically leave in like 2 cats and like a few targets, like something like that. Maybe like cut a will like to kind of go halfway, but usually you're setting out the cats. You're siding out all the targets. So like the Stein, the wombats, and the Milas. You are siding out the wills, probably siding out a mind control, and you just bring in like all of this stuff. Um, and then you can tweak it based on what your opponent is on. So Like stuff like swords and snatch are really good to bring in versus aggressive lists. Same with stuff like mirror force. Um, ceasefire you can get in there if it's chaos turbo and you want to be able to shut off some flips. This comes in versus warriors or like earth aggro or Isle or Zaborga's Morg or Thunderclap, whatever you want to call it. And like rats are really good recruiters for aggressive decks too. Like this can be flexed in if you want to go full burn versus something like Chaos Turbo. So like a lot of like just having a bunch of one-ups, like this is good kind of versus like anything because you can like lock something in set. You can flex this in versus a OTK deck or a mirror. So um, this can flex in versus another burn deck. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility. I will say that this deck is it's pretty hard to play. I mean I've probably played and I've been messing with the deck a lot, so I don't have like a great like solidified take on this, but this is one of the harder decks to play so far in GOAT, I think. The math part is one part of it, um, but like once you do the math a few times, it gets easier because you can kind of like do some mental shortcuts on like the Milas math and like how like when you trio like how it's going to work with like your first Gyakugi or Panda attack versus your second and then like how it scales down and stuff like that. So like yeah, it's still a little bit hard like on the go, but like you can kind of figure that out. The hardest part about this deck is first the siding, um, and then second it's um, really having to like make reads. And I know when like people see this deck, they think it's like, oh, you just draw like Cat, Trunade, Will, and you win. Which like yeah, if you draw that, like yeah, you do win probably. But there's that's kind of rare. Like mostly you're forced into a situation where you have like two of these. Like you might have like a cat and a will, or like you have a cat and a Trunade or something. Or you have like a Stein and like a Trunade. Um, and basically, what you have to do is and they have like a back row or two, and you have to, and maybe like a set monster, and you say like, okay, how much damage can I do? I don't know what this monster's defense is. Like if it's a spy, how much can I get through with that? If it's a deco, maybe that's something you can pierce through and you can get enough damage in to win and follow it up with burns. But you have to kind of make educated guesses on like how much damage you're going to be able to do or how many attacks might go through. And it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Um, just because you don't know. And I think this deck more than anything requires you to have a really, really good understanding of other people's decks and what the probability is of their outs, or like if you suspect that they just happen to open early with a Mirror Force or a Torrential, or maybe it's just a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast and you can play through that. So there's just a lot of judgment calls with this deck. Um, I will, yeah, that's really all I think I have to say about it. There's just a ton of judgment calls, um, and games last a lot longer than stuff like Reasoning Gate Turbo. So I think this is might be the hardest deck I've played so far. I'm not sure yet. Um, so that's enough about that. I think the deck is pretty straightforward. If you're really unfamiliar with like what the core combo is, and this is more of an idealistic thing, but it's Cat plus Will. I guess you probably want to order it like Will, then Cat, with Trunade at like the very beginning to clear back row, and then you bring out. Well, you can bring out a few different things. So you can bring out Milas plus Wombat, and then you bring out the other cat from Will, and then you bring out Wombat plus or sorry, you bring out a not another cat from Will. You bring out typically a Cyberstein, um, and then that's game. Like Cyberstein, you bring out where is he? Oz plus Milas plus Wombat, or if you're running two Milas, it can be Stein plus Milas, or it can be Stein plus Wombat plus Oz. So you can like OTK at 8,000 through that. That's exceedingly rare because again, first of all, you need to have a cat, you need to have a Trunade. Your opponent needs to have no set monsters. You need to have a Will, and you need to have not drawn Stein. So it's kind of rare. Um, what's a lot more common is like you cat and then you bring out like two pandas and you pierce through some like Ojama tokens or something like that, or you cat will Gyaku gear, um, uh, and then like bring out maybe like a lily or something like that, or it could even be like an exile to pop a set. So there's just so many different ways to skin the cat. No pun intended, but actually I might pun intended that a little bit later. Um, the one like thing is this is pretty standard. Like I don't think any of these four are cuttable. This isn't cuttable. None of this is cuttable for this type of list. The two wombats aren't cuttable. I kind of want to fit in another Milas, and most of the lists I've seen haven't really incorporated that many Milases. They usually just have one, and people shit talk it a lot. But I think just having enough targets in deck is really important, and it also allows you to bring out two Milases and like a wombat or something and get over something that's like big. Like it helps you like wombat gets to 26 with two Milases, so that's really important sometimes. And I've noticed there have been a decent amount of game states where I'm like, wow, I really wish I could get over a Sork. Um, and then there's like not something else that I can do to get over it. Um, or it requires just some like weird sequencing like after the battle phase to do it, which doesn't work. These are pretty standard. This is all standard. Like the one flex spot is a mind control. Some people run two. I've seen even more. Um, it's good. I mean, you basically just mind con something away, and you then go for game, or you mind con a flip, like try to get like a deco or something, and plus off that, like a faith. Then you got your stall cards, and then your burn cards. Um, there there are a lot of different lists out there, and a lot of them run like a different amount of flex cards, and a lot of the flex cards are in my side. Like some popular ones are swords, snatch steal, um, and like United We Stand has popped up in one or two. I don't think United We Stand is worth it. Maybe in the Earth aggro list, but not in this. I think swords and snatch are really, really good, but I don't really want to be preed for an aggressive list just because I think like with the way like warriors are built, yeah, like you might run into some like main deck dust tornadoes on occasion, but like game one, if you stick a decent amount of stall, like it's you have a pretty fair shot at that game. Um, so I don't think it's really worth like bringing in like snatch steal, which is usually best against aggressive decks or swords preemptively with that. Um, and then that's really it. We're gonna jump into some games. All right, we in it. Another thing about this deck is I don't think people are all that good at playing against it, just because nobody plays it. Um, Always good to draw a pot. Not happy about seeing Stein early with no stall. And yeah, we can search cat. I don't want to let him know what we're on. So just thinking like, is there any reason to set versus normal this? I think we're setting it. Pretty upset if it gets knocked, but I just think the life points matter. Do they? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if it gets knocked, we're upset, but like if he also attacks into it, we get a search. So there's like an upside to it as well. Whereas if we summon it, he's just not going to attack into it probably. Um, I think it's cat here. It's cat, but there's a case to be made for Cyberjar. There's definitely a case to be made for Cyberjar. Actually, you know what? Oh, let's do cat. Thinking thinking what is the best play here. So cat, of course, isn't enough. If we ring Stein, we have 49 plus 14, which is 63. But we have no follow-up with burn. We just have cat. But we could follow up with cat. The thing is, we drew the wombat. We have 2 turns worth of spell and trap removal. I don't think it's worth going off yet. Because we could just die if we commit Stein. We have no backup, so there's no way we do that. I'm just gonna attack over it with Wombat. Wow, that worked. He searched Relinquished. That's all the hand knowledge we have. Decree. That's fine. Um, so it's math time. I'm really not afraid of Decree at all. So let's think. Cat doesn't max damage at all just because we don't have this. So Stein, that's 49 plus 16. Then we can ring him for game, right? 49 plus 16 is 50, or 65, right? 65, and then we can ring him for game. So we're gonna clear the Trinid. Okay. GG no re. Um, I'm just afraid of that fucking decree. We got lucky this game. Whoops. Um, but I just don't know how we're gonna win the next few games. We're gonna have to think about what our trap lineup looks like. Um, just in case he has book, I think it's always best to just save this. Is it like one of the he could set book and then he can't activate it. That's fine. Um, what? What am I playing against? I'm so confused. So we saw relinquished, we saw decree and level limit. Hmm. I mean, what? This has to come in. I mean, I just don't know how we like what his win con is. Um, what is the win con? I really have to figure this out. So relinquished. There has to be something to this. I'm trying to think like what level limit area being relinquished and Manjus and Senjus and stuff could do. Maybe he's trying to lock us down and then wave motion cannon or something. Either way, we're bringing in these 3. I don't think we can afford to bring in like too much in terms of traps. We have to bring in some removal because I think he's going to try to lock us down. And our win con in this condition, I think, is going to be having to try to sneak in a little bit of burn, but it's also we have to keep in the OTK. Because if we just go full burn, then we get shut off by decree, we lose. So if he's running level limits, we're not too afraid, I don't think, of him getting too aggressive. So we're just going to go heavier on Mons. And less on the burn. I don't know if Mindcon's going to get any good use. Maybe we bring in like this to just poke. Nah, let's keep in the Mindcon. Yeah, see, this is the hard part about side decking. Like, well, first of all, this deck's hard to side deck with in the first place, but we have no clue what our opponent's doing to win. Like, I really can't figure out what they're going to be trying to do to win. This hand's kind of suspect. Um, I really don't like drawing these targets. Plus, we're probably going to get decreed. I think it's fine to just commit a wombat and not attack. And then we still have to set ring, I think. And we have to activate level limit. I think the longer the game goes on, the better for us, because we should be able to draw outs to the decrees with churnades and heavies. So this is actually kind of scary. It's like, what's he gonna search off this? Why is he doing this? Like, I'm just so confused. Serpent? Okay. So I think his plan is to serpent and then meta probably, and then steal this and just start swinging at us. So I think we do have to find an answer to that eventually, but I think you're just supposed to crash into Wombat, right? A Sork? Oh, so I was right with wave motion cannon. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's not very good. Um, so we have game, right? Because we can go. Wait, what's left in deck? So we do have a Wombat and a Milas in deck and Stein in deck. But let me just make sure there's no space issues. So we bring out two. Yeah, we're fine. Let's just try to search for back row removal. I doubt this is gonna matter. Oh, actually, we don't have game. What am I talking about? Oh, never mind, we do. Because level limit. I was totally forgetting level limit. We would have just cried. Um, Tribe goes. I just don't think there's any way for him to stop this. So I'm trying to think like if this doesn't go through, we definitely want to pitch Gyaku gear, and then we want to pitch either Tribe or Buck, of course. But um, we're not going to have really any cards left in hand. So Tribe. Oh shit. Did not see that coming. Okay. Now we have to reassess. That's a little sag. Um, so we know he has decree and an wait, what? I'm tripping. There were just two back row, right? And he chained one of them, right? Oh, wave motion. Duh. Alright, so we know three cards. Serpent, wave motion. The issue here is we don't have a way to OTK, I don't think. But I gotta do some math. So what we're gonna, I think, have to structure this as is, how many targets do we have left actually? So we have two pandas, Milas, and a wombat, which isn't very good. Um, if we do that, the first panda is plus a Milas is going to be 33. Wait. Let me think. There's 5 on board, so that's 25 plus 8, which is 33. He'll be at 38. So we can pierce for 38 through a token. The second is going to be 500 less, so that'll be 33 through a token. So that puts us at 71. And then Wombat will be at 21. Yeah. And that's 900. Is that exact lethal? Oh my god. I think I did the math right. We're going to run it back one more time. So 5 times 5 is 25 plus 8 base for Gyaku gear is 33 plus another 500 from Milas is 38, which pierces. One monster leaves field, so that's 33. That puts us up to 71. This will be at 21 plus 12 is exactly 900, which is exactly 8,000. Oh my god. This deck is so fucking cool, dude. Holy shit. I'm gonna have a few words to say about this at the end of the game, by the way. But let's just do it. We don't want to keep this guy hanging on for too long. Yeah, keeping in Scapegoat, by the way, that's pretty fucking insane. Will, and then here's the Milas, and all right. GG's. GG. Wow. Okay, so that's some gameplay for you guys. What I do want to say about this though is we got pretty fucking lucky. Um, I want to inspire people to play this deck just because I'm kind of tired of just everyone running Chaos Turbo, but if you play this deck enough, you're gonna see how it. Oh god, getting a little excited there. Sorry. You're gonna see how exceedingly rare it is to draw like this. I mean, just having like a back-to-back like blowout OTK like this is kind of rare. Um, yeah, usually you have to string things together um, in a more nuanced way, and you have to kind of plan out like the burn and like how much burn you plan on drawing. So I think this is some fucking cool ass gameplay, frankly. But if you load up this deck, I would not plan on just blowing out your opponent every turn like this. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, and your opponent's going to duo your shit turn one. They're going to trin your ass. They're going to fucking have some Regeki break to blow your nuts off. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.